All right, as everyone's coming in, please just go into the chat. You'll see webinar chat on the top of the screen and just type your name and where you're from. We'd love to hear where you're from. We got people going to be coming in from all over the world for this webinar and would love to just get to know you a bit. Whitley's from Las Vegas. Thanks for being with us. All right, New Jersey in the house, Kelly. Indiana, Angela and Robert, thanks for joining us. Colorado, boy, it's coming in strong. Colorado, Georgia, Washington, New York, Alberta, Canada. You guys are in some cold weather right there. You're doing okay. Some more from Canada, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Got Arizona in there. Honolulu, welcome, welcome. Jersey, appreciate you guys as you're coming in again. We're excited that you're here. Hope you had a great Christmas and getting ready for a healthy new year. We're going to work to help to get you there even faster. But as you're coming on, just type where you're from. And as you're coming on, we'll get started here. We're going to go through a slide and a couple videos, and then we'll get going. Welcome everyone. For those of you that are new to one of us, my name is Doug Grant. I'm a nutritionist formulator for Optimal Health Systems, working in the professional athletic world for a long time, and have spent the last 25 years training doctors around the world on how they can be more holistic based on the research and holistic principles, so that they're able to help their patients have more high performance moments, get better faster, be able to reach optimal health. And I'm really excited to be here to share with you some of the approach that we've actually utilized throughout the world in different countries and with people from all walks of life, and sharing with you some of the secrets that have helped them be able to reach optimal health. And with me is a great friend, a partner. We've traveled the world together, spoke pretty much in every state, and a great friend, and excited to have him here. The best in the business when it comes to the mind and being able to get focused and actually heal. Dr. Porter, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for putting this together, Doug. I know that I've been using your products for years. Now we need to get it out to the rest of the world, in my world.
We're excited, and we're glad for everyone coming on. Again, as you're coming on, I know there's still more flowing in right now. As you're coming on, let us know where you're from. Put your name in the chat there, and would love to be able to make sure we can open up for questions and answers here at the end. So the interesting thing, Dr. Porter, that as we get started here is how over the years we've come together more and more. And I think a lot of it's been not just because of our friendship and that frequency of attraction that we have because of our passion, but I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that the things the world needs the most to help them be able to reach optimal health is a combination of the power of the mind, of their focus, and then the good, solid basics based on research of, how to eat, what to eat, the exercise, the specific whole food nutrition based on objective findings, like those things coupled with having the power of the mind so that they can overcome their cravings. I really think it's just something that we merged a lot because the world needed both of what we do.
Oh yeah, I mean we've realized here in the last 10 years really that you just can't stop eating to lose weight. If people are wanting to do that, you have to have nutrition. Our food is just went south, as most people know. We need to have nutrition. That's why, I mean, those who've heard me speak here recently, at least in the last 4 years, I've been saying nutrition is number one. If you can't outthink a bad diet. So we need to get that nutrition in so that our brain can function at its peak and we can handle stress. That's one thing we can do, is we can take the stress out of the foods we're consuming.
Absolutely. So super excited. And let's just jump right into it. And I think everyone will see how the new research that's out, combined with what we've known for decades to help people be able to overcome their cravings and be able to stick with their resolutions, how we're going to be able to share with them those tools today. So we want to go over a few statistics as we got started. It's interesting that the top New Year's resolutions come back to exercising more, eating healthier, losing weight, and then spending more time with family and friends. And it's funny that sometimes people that don't set their goals to eat healthier, to reduce body fat, right, to be able to get out and do the things they need to, often say, well, it's because I'm not being selfish. I'm not being selfish. And so, I spend my time with others. And I heard a great talk the other day. A guy said, you know what? I think that's actually being more selfish, because if you truly care about others, you'll take care of yourself so you can be more present with them so that you're able to have more energy and vitality. And there was a study done that showed that you actually, if you put an hour and a half into your health each day, be selfish, as some people would say, of eating healthier, making good choices, thinking ahead of time, exercising, taking the right nutrients, focusing on the brain, doing the brain tap or meditation, that you'll actually gain 3 times that in the area of productivity. And that doesn't mean you get more hours in the day. There's only 24, but it does mean that your productivity during those hours will increase 3 times the amount from what you put in to your own self. And I thought that was a great study. And I think most people could really benefit from that if they are feeling guilty about eating healthier and spending that extra few minutes maybe to make the right choices, or to go exercise, for 30, 45 minutes a day, that it's actually being selfish not to. Would you agree with that, Dr. Porter?
I agree totally. I mean, so many people, even when we did our peak performance study, we showed that if they take the time to basically work on themselves, then they're even peak performers had a 19% improvement in productivity at Google. I mean, when we did the peak performance study. So, I mean, even though you might think you're doing everything you can and you're giving up your life in exchange for your productivity, a lot of people do, taking that time out to take care of your body and your mind is going to make a big difference.
Absolutely. Well, hey, we are going to jump to questions at the end, but there is someone asking about if there's going to be a replay. We are going to send out the replay to everyone on the link so that you can listen to it. This person's asking because they say it's midnight where they're at, so they must be somewhere across the Atlantic or so. Absolutely, but appreciate that, and that you're there with us right now. So, as Dr. Porter was mentioning, the obesity rates are continuing to rise, and what's interesting about the obesity rates is that a lot of people don't really look at them and say, gosh, they actually compare pretty well with people's resolutions, right? 45% of the population are saying they need to lose weight and be able to reduce body fat. It's because they know. So it's not like we need to go around and tell people that they need to lose weight or that. Everyone knows innately if they feel better, if they lost a little bit of extra body fat, they'd be able to move better. They probably know innately that they would be healthier and have a greater quality of life, lower risk of disease. But this number that just came out, the 42% of Americans are obese, understand this is the low number. This is the lowest number. In other words, if you looked at some of the groups, African Americans, the number was well up over 60%. You look at some other, whether it's ethnic groups or different valuations that they did, the lowest was 42. So we're talking in a room, a minimum of 1 out of 3, closer to 2 out of 3 will actually be obese. And the problem with that is just the increased risk of disease, the lower quality of life. And it seems to be the elephant in the room. When people talk about, hey, there's this bacteria, this virus going around, everyone should go get vaxxed, everyone should do this and that. It's like fine to tell people these things, but yet to tell someone, hey, to really improve your health, if you're coming to me and asking me what you should do to improve your health and you need to lose body fat, a lot of times people think that we can't say that, when in reality, if you just look at it from a health standpoint, we need to reduce that body fat. We need to be able to get that shape where it should be in proportion to your frame, and look at it from that angle, not necessarily from a vanity angle, because actually the body comes if you focus on the right principles. So today we are going to talk a little bit about the known factors that everyone knows. If you eat better, if you exercise consistently, you're going to be able to get your body where it needs to be. And the key is consistently, right? Eat healthier, make better choices, exercise consistently. Now, that isn't a revelation, but what is a revelation, and this is where Dr. Porter and myself are going to come together to help you today, is if you take a look at the reason people do not follow through with their resolutions, why people fall off their diets, why they quit exercising, and really study that research. That's really the secret, and that's what we're going to share with you today. And what the research shows is that the majority of people that fall off their plans of eating healthier, sticking with it, all the resolutions, is because they give in to cravings. They give in to cravings. They weren't planning on ordering that, but then they get in at the restaurant and they order the bad food. So they weren't planning on eating the full gallon of ice cream, but they started and they just finish it. And all these things they weren't planning on, but they give in to their cravings. So if we can help you overcome the cravings, to get past that hump, just those little times when you failed, then you'll be able to stick with your resolutions until they become new habits. And that's this kind of the secret sauce. And that's one thing that the combination of what I'm going to share you with the research from the gut-brain axis and the probiotics, and what Dr. Porter is going to share with you just from the brain itself and being able to get it in the right state, to be able to put the right thoughts into it. These are the things that are going to help you make 2023 the year that you bust through with being able to accomplish your resolution. And cravings is a huge factor, isn't it, Dr. Porter?
Yes, for sure. I mean, especially when they're under stress. Stress causes that hedonistic behavior, and basically the brain gets hijacked. The amygdala goes offline, and all reasoning goes out the window. So that's why it's so important. It's really important you plan. A lot of people that the average New Year's resolution lasts less than 5 days. That's pretty scary. They give up before the 5th of January. So we want to keep you on track here. It's a mindset thing too, as well as the nutrition.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the key we want everyone to know right now is, we need to take responsibility. Yes, we need to put things into place, but there are some things that aren't your fault, that you didn't know about, that if you would have known about, you could have taken care of. And we're going to share those with you, that it's not necessarily your fault that you fell off a lot of these times in the past, and we're going to help you through that. And one of the things is that what the secret that I'm going to share with you is one that I used in the NBA when I was hired by the Phoenix Suns and the Miami Heat and the Spurs. I got known as a guy that they would send players to when they had a hard time having them lose weight, that they just wouldn't do it. And understand, these guys are getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a game. And a lot of times they were struggling to be able to reduce body fat and get in the shape they needed to be in. And so they would send them to me. And what I would do different than everyone else is what you're going to learn today, is that we focus in on the microbiome, the gut, and there's some very specific research that I'm going to share with you as to why. And that was the secret. And I didn't share it with many people then because I was the nutritionist in the MBA and I wanted to be able to help those people. But now we're opening it up and sharing it with you. And we've actually shared it with thousands that have had phenomenal results. And Dr. Porter, kind of the secret, if you would, as far as letting the audience know about the power of the mind with being able to hold to your New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, well, I think the main thing is having the end in mind. It's easy when the journey is going to work. With the average diet actually lasting only 72 hours, we don't want you to start a diet. We want you to change your lifestyle. What I used to tell people in my clinic was, we don't have a weight loss program. We have a nutrition rich program that gives you the life that you want to live. So if you need to kind of reframe that, and that's what we do at Brain Tap, is we're reframing that, because once you do the healthy things, your body just changes its weight, and you have to really stop pretending you don't know. Like you're saying, a lot of people pretend they don't know. You go to the restaurant and you have to get in the habit of saying, hey, don't bring out those breads. Don't do, you have to be, and I do tell people I'm selfish, because every morning I get up, I spend 2 hours on myself because I need it. I'm over 60 now, and I want to, 60 is the new 30 for those listeners. So I want to be there for my grandkids and my wife, and just have the life that we've all been told about, not work myself into the ground. And nutrition is key to that. I mean, that's what drives the body chemistry. And while you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing, the body's doing everything it needs to be doing. So it all works together there.
Absolutely. So let's get into whose fault it is if it's not your fault, right? And there are a lot of factors involved here. I know a couple doctors have already. I appreciate your messages talking about the issues that it is important to understand the genes are involved and all that. And there's a lot of truth there. In fact, the research, when we know that we coded the genes and the DNA at the same time, we finally understood about the microbiome and about your bacteria. And so it's a really good understanding that when we were going to school, we were told that our body was made up of about 10% bacteria, 90% human cells. Now we know that wasn't true. We know now, based on the new research just in the last decade, that we are actually about 50% human, 50% bacteria. So think about it, you're only 50% human. And the other 50% that reside with you your entire life is bacteria that actually have their own feelings, if you would. They have their own vibrations and frequency and cravings. And once we understand that and we say, okay, how do we play together? How can we help and train properly this bacteria so that we work together for the outcome of optimal health? That's when really miracles can happen. So the first thing is that we're 50% bacteria. We better start understanding it. And that's when a lot of the research started coming out that, oh my gosh, the gut-brain axis, psychobiotics. We know now that there is a nerve system called the vagus nerve that goes from the gut to the brain, and it's direct access. And that's why when we talk about a gut feeling, that it truly is a gut feeling. You're feeling it in the gut. And we're going to share with you some of the research on the percentages of chemicals that are created from the gut. And so the healthier the gut, the healthier the mind, the healthier your thoughts. And the gut-brain axis is a huge factor. And I know it's a big part of your research with your PhD, Dr. Porter.
Yes, for sure. I mean, most people don't realize the brain biome and gut biome mirror each other. So if you have a leaky gut, you have a leaky brain. So the way that we can monitor that is through our gut access. That's the main thing. So we always, from detoxing to strengthening that gut, that's the things that need to happen for the body to return to its natural state.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so here's some of the research on it. And here's a good picture that shows the actual nerves from the vagus nerve and how they're in the gut and they react to the probiotics or the friendly bacteria that reside in our gut. Now, we're supposed to have up to 3 pounds of friendly bacteria. Okay, that's billions and billions of bacteria, healthy bacteria, probiotics. Remember, we have good bacteria, we have bad bacteria, we have pathogenic bacteria, and then we have the probiotic, the friendly flora. And we're supposed to have up to 3 pounds, which again is billions and billions of these friendly bacteria. And what shape they're in, what they crave in that, those signals are sent to the brain through the vagus nerve. And we know based on the research now that that's the case. And that the indigenous bacteria in the gut that regulates the amount of serotonin, 90% of the serotonin in our body comes from the friendly bacteria. Now, why is this important? Is serotonin is your happy chemical. So if you have a shortage of serotonin, you have sad, depressed moods, low energy, negative thoughts, you get irritable, reduced interest in sex, you have anxiety, depression, all of these things. And if 90% of the serotonin that is the happy chemical that does this resides in your gut, and your friendly bacteria are being raised on junk food and they're craving junk food, they're not performing at their highest level, just like we don't perform at our highest level when we're eating a lot of junk food. If there's too many of the pathogenic bacteria there, those signals aren't coming up properly. We're not getting the amount of serotonin, the happy chemical, to help us stay positive, to be able to, continue on with a lot of our decisions, just because we have the attitude of happiness and growth that we should have. So the first thing is, we want to be able to focus in on the probiotics in our gut, one, for serotonin. That's one of the major factors. And Dr. Porter, I know it's a big factor in your research.
Oh, yeah. Well, we also see that when this happens, when we do the brain scans, we find that their delta activity, which should only be happening when you're sleeping, increases, which means we have a sleepy metabolism. So when people go, it seems like all I have to do is walk by the candy and I gain weight. Well, that's because the gut isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing. You know, the gut makes most of all the 54 different neurotransmitters. So, the brain upstairs here basically is like a Google tablet, is what I tell people. Your main brain is your gut brain. Your second brain is your heart brain. And when those two are working, then this brain between our ears seems to work better. So, we have to have all of these different neurotransmitters, because during the day, they're going to get used up. And if our body is using them up to basically metabolize junk food, then we're not going to have the mood that we need.
Well, that's it. That's a good point that goes to the study I'm putting on the screen right now. And it's a very important study that's going to help people understand why this webinar can change your life if you apply the principles that we're going to share with you. The microbiome, okay, the probiotics, these microbes in the gut, they're under selective pressure to manipulate the host so that they can stay alive. So they want to stay alive just like you and I want to stay alive. And so if they are being fed certain foods, so they're used to the cake, the ice cream, right? All these foods, these sugars, and all of a sudden you start to try to, start eating healthier. They're like, wait a second, our food source, what we're used to, we don't have. So they will manipulate the body. They'll send the signal through the vagus nerve up to the brain, okay? And say, hey, we want more of that stuff we've been raised on. We want more sugar. We want more ice cream. We want more pastries. We want these things. And so that's where the cravings for them come in. Your cravings come from the memory of the microbiome of what they were raised on. And so I hope everyone's really putting that together right now. And the research bears this out. And it's something that's really exciting for us because it changed the game. And it's when my mentor, Dr. Harvey Hashmead, and working at the University of Nebraska, Dr. Kim Shahani, they're like, guys, the research is going to bear this out. And this is before these studies. And they were really right. And so I'm glad we went down that road. Now, also, even though they're trying to manipulate the host, right, the probiotics are trying to manipulate the host, saying we want more junk. Also, they found out in the study that now we can reprogram those probiotics, put new probiotics in, the friendly bacteria, feed them correctly. All of a sudden, they're raised on the healthy foods. The bad cravings go away, our body starts craving the healthier foods. That's the secret weapon, and very important to understand that we know what friendly bacteria are needed in the gut and where they reside. In other words, there's different friendly bacteria in the gut and they reside in different areas. And one of the great research studies that we did even back in the late 90s was what bacteria family species lives in different parts of the intestine. What do they do? The Acidophilus family helps with your immune system, right? The Streptococcus family and Thermophilus help make lactase to be able to help with lactose intolerance. The Bulgaricus family and Bifidum family have different roles with vitamin B and metabolism. And they all have these different roles. And all these families need to be there so that they can give great stimulus through the vagus nerve to the brain. Said, hey, we're healthy, we're strong, we're here. It helps us with our mood and it helps us with those cravings. So these are extremely important to understand, that the friendly bacteria and knowing which ones that we should be focusing on is really key. And we use an acronym, and I'm going to let Dr. Porter run this a little bit. We use a fitness acronym, and the fitness acronym utilizes FIT, which is focused, intense thought, the power of the mind and the brain, and then everything comes after that. The N, which is nutrition, the E is exercise, and then supplementation. So although it really comes down to the food you put in your body, the movement you have, and the nutrients that you put in, right? The right probiotics, enzymes, vitamins, and minerals. We have to have the mindset first. And that's where making sure the probiotics are up to speed in the gut to be able to help with the serotonin is great. But there's another level to that, right, Dr. Porter, as far as just being able to help program the brain and the right meditation and the right thoughts.
Yeah, well, most people don't realize that sugar is also produced by our liver, right? So I always tell people that stress is more fattening than chocolate. So if you're not taking care of that, also your mindset, what you think about, can change up to 2,300 gene expressions. To Dr. Laura's point over in the comments, I mean, you can control your weather by controlling your mindset. If you work together, you know, the big thing is that we have to interrupt the pattern. Like you're saying, if you are 50% is fighting against you, or it feels like it is, you can train them, but it's going to take some time. So if you get your brain in the game, which means you're focusing on the end result, the brain will follow through. But if it's into the immediate gratification, you know, it's easy to say yes to sugar because the body burns sugar so quickly, but we're really meant to be fat burners, right? So we want to have our body, we need to teach our body or train our body to make that, flip that switch. Once we do, it won't go back. Like people that make the change, they, you know, once you get into that energy flow and you have that constant energy instead of the ups and downs that happens with the sugar blues, and that can be caused by, some people are telling the truth, they're not eating sugar, but they're eating a lot of foods that convert to sugar, right? So that's why it's so important that we look at what they're eating. You know, we think, some people think they're eating great because they're having a bagel for breakfast or something, you know, so there's a lot of things that go into it. So it's about education and working there. So in, like you're saying here, I'll let you go on, but I mean, it's so important that sugar has become this beast that's running people's lives. And, you know, there is a solution for that. And I think you were talking about it here. So it just gives you the right nutrition.
Right. And as a nutritionist, I was taught in school that a calorie is a calorie is a calorie. I mean, it didn't matter where it came from because it's a measurement of heat, right? kcal. But the truth is that was completely false. Although we do need to see how many calories we eat in a day versus what we burn. That's an important number. There are studies now showing ever since 2019 that the more heavily processed the foods are, the more weight gain that happens. And that happens a lot because of the stimulatory effect of telling the body, hey, we want more of these things. They're affecting the microbiome. The microbiome's craving more. And it's really interesting to understand that the more processed the foods are, the more fat gain will happen. And a lot of it comes from the cravings that come from it because, you know, there is so many calories, and a calorie is a calorie somewhat, but the type of calorie is the big difference. And this was study was done over 100,000 people. We've seen the research from this. We know that there's an increase risk of cardiovascular disease, coronary heart disease, cerebrovascular disorders from eating processed foods, the exact same amount of calories as someone else that doesn't eat processed foods, eat more whole foods, more natural grains and fruits and vegetables, berries, nuts, those types of things. And so 105,000 people actually from this. And so there's another large study that showed that eating more than 4 servings of processed food a day was linked to an increased risk of all-cause mortality. Basically, anything over 4 servings a day of processed foods, every serving they had an additional 18% increase. Now, right off the bat, it is really important to understand these numbers are staggering. I mean, staggering numbers. There's a 62% relative increase hazard for dying young, having a lower quality of life by eating ultra processed foods. Now, you know, ultra processed foods, the difference between a potato and potato chips or French fries, right? Ultra processed, that type of thing. So you can take any food and the more you process it, the worse it gets. And so we've got to understand that really what's causing this, because it's still a calorie. Well, it's how it's affecting your metabolism, how it's affecting the microbiome, the bacteria in your gut, how it's affecting your nerves, how it's affecting your DNA at the cellular level. And it's really important to know that if you would just get off processed foods, that's it. You're going to be way ahead of most people. And then once you get off processed foods, if you put friendly, good bacteria back in the gut and take a look at your overall calorie intake, the results will be so fast, so effective, so absolutely mesmerizing that you'll be motivated to stick with it. So that's what we want to do, is to help you get to that point. And we know that reducing processed food intake can save millions of lives. And guess how much it costs you? Nothing. A lot of people say it was cheaper to eat processed foods. And if you really look at it from a standpoint of so many studies that were done, you can actually eat good whole foods and do it at a low cost. So when you go out and you buy the oatmeals and you get a lot of these grains, and a lot of times if you look around the farm markets and the different things in your areas, and everyone's in the same area, but you get the fruits and the berries and those types of things, or have your own garden, you can make it as cost effective as you want, or you can make excuses all that you want. Reducing processed food is the key. Now, to think about just doing that would prevent nearly 500,000 cardiovascular deaths a year is amazing to me. And to be able to help with diabetes at a tremendous rate. And so for nothing else, what we should be doing as a country, we should be looking at this. We should be taking a look at it. And as Dr. Porter said, the average American's consuming over 60 pounds of sugar annually. And I think that number is actually pretty low, don't you, Dr. Porter? It's actually higher than that.
Yeah, I've read where it's up to 100 pounds a person. And of course, that's people are exchanging convenience for health. They're grabbing the first thing that's going to raise their energy level instead of promoting it through brain health.
Absolutely. And what's funny is we have recommended daily intake of vitamins, of calories and all these things, but yet the government really shies away from your recommended daily sugar intake. And we know why, because of the people that are lobbyists in that in Washington, and how serious it is. We have to be able to take that and say, look, we know the amount of sugar you should have a day, and we can help you with that. And we're going to come to that number to you and give it to you in just a minute. So things that destroy your friendly flora, this is important. These are things that destroy the bacteria that, remember, is important for your mindset, your attitude, your metabolism, as Dr. Porter said, the amount of calories a day your body burns, your cravings. Stress destroys it. That's where Brain Tap comes in. And we'll turn Dr. Porter loose here in a second on that. Antibiotics, again, is not just a prescription from the doctor. If you eat meat, you're taking an antibiotic. Over half of the antibiotics that are produced every year, half of them go to meat, to livestock. So you're taking some antibiotics in that destroy the friendly bacteria. Remember, anti means against, biotic means life, anti-life. It destroys all life, not just the bad stuff. Carbonation destroys probiotics. Sucralose is a huge one that's not talked about enough. I just wrote a blog on that. You can go to optimalhealthsystems.com and look at the blog. I just wrote on sucralose, destroying the friendly bacteria. Prescription drugs, alcohol, environmental chemicals, smog, pollution, those types of things. People that work in environments, whether like mechanics or hairdressers, things like that. So, Dr. Porter, stress we talked about a little bit, but I don't think people understand really how serious stress is and how they need to focus in on that, and maybe even how Brain Tap of that can help.
Right. The big thing here, when you look at there's a book called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers, and that's why I use this slide a lot, because most animals don't do what we do. We have a psychological system. So that's why the Brain Tap is so important, because your mood is going to control your cravings. If you can balance your moods. But what happens here in the wild, of course, is a zebra's being chased by a lion. You can watch the video on YouTube, which is the whole story, really. But what happens is when the lion stops, the zebra just stops along with him or her and puts his head down and starts eating. It doesn't call all its friends and say, hey, I was just chased by this lion. What can I do? The reality is that the zebra forgets, has a very short memory. And I think this is where Brain Tap needs to go on, because the guilt and the shame that people feel after they've consumed the wrong foods is far worse than consuming it, because of the emotional turmoil it gives the person. I love it when people say, Frank can eat anything he wants. I can't believe it. Just because they're thin doesn't mean they're healthy. There's a big misconception there, but most people will find that stress, when you look at anxiety or depression, high blood pressure, these things, they drive behavior because emotion drives behavior. And that's really what we're talking about here, is if you can do the 1-2 punches, have the Brain Tap to help you lower your stress, get you basically thinking positive about the outcomes you want, keeping you focused on who is most important, that's you, and then providing your body with the nutrients it needs. It used to be we could do one or the other. I don't think it's possible anymore. I mean, we see thousands of people through Brain Tap all the time. I mean, we have 110,000 people in our database. And when we're getting the message and somebody says, you know what, I need some help here. And I'll say, what you need to get on some good nutrition, because you can't do it with your brain alone, unless you're Saint Germain or somebody who can alchemize, that can take pure garbage and make it healthy. So part of it is, when you think about here, we're talking about dopamine is one of the strongest addictions. The average person looks at their phone 300 times a day. And what that does, every time that cortisol is triggered, it's going to have a corresponding emotional reaction. That means that trigger event doesn't just trigger them to look at their phone, it triggers hedonistic behaviors. And if you do the research, the food industry actually has done a lot of research, and they have predicted how people can be addicted. So when you think here, the reason I like this one here is that some people can get through it. You know, everybody has a different reaction to what's going on. But the reality is when you take away their favorite foods, some people are screaming all the way. And even though they're doing everything right for those 3 to 5 days that they actually stay on their program, it's actually detrimental to them because their attitude about it is so bad. If you look at it as saying, wow, this is fun. I still remember my brother Michael, which some of you might know, he's our educational director. We were speaking in Toronto one time, and he's never eaten a candy bar since he was in high school. And he said that from the stage, and somebody after the talk said, I can't believe you haven't eaten a candy bar since high school. That must be difficult. And he looked at him and he said, you know, what would be difficult is to get up every morning and put 40 pounds on my back. That would be difficult. So it's all about reframing. It's not a difficult journey. If we can explain to even ourselves, hey, the long-term benefits here is so important that when you look at that, we have to turn away from our American way, really, is immediate gratification. We want everything now. We want it fast. People want to eat junk food and look like a supermodel. You know, that's not going to happen. You know, we need to feed our body and we need to feed our brain. You know, these two come together. So it's really important. And if you're having a negative reaction, that's when it's important to deal with it, not to suppress it. You know, a lot of people, I tell people, it's not always what you're eating, it's what's eating you. You know, so we need to make sure that whatever's eating you, you know, that we resolve that.
Absolutely. And, you know, one of the things that's really important to understand here that I think a lot of people just overlook or they miss this part is that the mindset, everyone will set goals, right? So let's take a look at it from a broad perspective. Everyone in the world sets some type of goal, or at least thinks they're going to do something better in the coming year, right? Okay, so let's just say the high majority at least. Now, why do most of them not follow through? Because everyone has the goal setting, we set it, but it's that power of the mind. And one is to be able to have that strong thought process, to be able to dig through. But the other is the nutrient factor that you keep coming back to that I think a lot of people overlook is if the probiotics in the gut are sending up through the vagus nerve, the happy thoughts, the positive, the stick with it attitude, you're going to be able to follow through better. If you have the right nutrients, we talk about brain health. If you have right essential fatty acids, remember vitamin D is huge with depression. I have doctors that send people to us just because the patients are depressed and they know they're low on vitamin D and they want us to help them with it. And until their vitamin D levels up, they're not able to break through and to have them help them to where they're making better not just better thoughts, but actually, you know, react differently to their environment. And it's really important. There's a saying that I love. It says your frequency is what you frequently see. Frequency is what you frequently see. And so if your friendly bacteria and your nutrient levels and your nutrition is strong, it helps you to see things in a different light, and that will respond to the frequency you have. And so it's a real powerful thing is why Brain Tap and the power of the brain really needs to be meshed with nutrition and understanding nutrients and the gut, the friendly bacteria. Let's look a little bit further at this with the cortisol connection that Dr. Porter, you were talking about, and the importance of it. And,
most people don't realize that the death knell to the brain, and even when we're talking about getting hijacked, is this high cortisol. Actually, when people say they have a senior moment, what they really are saying is, I have a stressed out hippocampus, because that's the part that assembles all of this. So this high stress reduces brain function. You know, when 95% of our life is controlled by our subconscious. So you can have the best intentions in the world, but if you're not, your body is doing what it needs to be doing, like I said earlier. So if you're giving it the nutrition, we're getting the microbiome right, then what happens is your emotions stay positive. Like you're, you know, when it feeds this. So this microbiome is so important to the way that we live, because we're so busy being busy that we're not taking care of our health. Even if we have the best intentions in the world, they say 25% of the time people go unconscious. You know, the old commercial, I can't believe I ate the whole thing, right? The reality is that you were there, but where were you really? Where were your concerns? And that's where Brain Tap comes in, is when you have that top of the mind awareness and you're dealing with it, there's been studies even showing that if you pray before you eat, you metabolize and digest your food better. And Virginia Hunt out of UCLA did a study where they didn't pray specifically. They just did some breathing exercises and relaxed. And they showed that they got the same kind of result with the digestion system, because a lot of people are sitting there watching TV while they're eating. All of this is going to play into the gut, because your gut is going to handle those emotions. So it's really important that we take care of our gut with nutrition, and then take care of our life with our moods, things of that nature.
Absolutely. And I think I wanted a good segue into the importance of nutrition. And nutrition really comes to two things. One is eating the right types of foods, but making sure they're delivered to the cell level. And a lot of people think, well, my carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, that's what really my body runs off of. Your body doesn't run off carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. It runs off what carbohydrates are broken down to, glucose. It runs off what proteins are broken down to, amino acids. It runs off of what fats are broken down to, fatty acids. And the key is to eat foods that are able to be broken down, digested to the fatty acids, amino acids, and the glucose. And the key to do that is to eat more raw food. And so everything I'm going to say right now, I want you to understand that the goal is to get you to eat more raw food and to chew your food. Okay. But when we eat food that's cooked and processed, we take a food that has its natural enzymes in it. An apple starts to rot, it's digesting itself, it's raw, it has its enzymes. We cook it over 118 degrees, the enzymes are destroyed. Now that food no longer has the ability to digest itself. And in fact, I have a Big Mac here that is now probably over a month or two old. I used to have one that was over 20 years old, and they threw it out. That was trash. Looks the same. And why? Because the enzymes are destroyed in it. Now your body's going to have to do all the work to digest it. So we're really big on enzyme. And what I want people to do is to realize, I want you to take as few of the enzymes from a supplement as possible, but also be responsible. That eat more raw food, but when you don't, add the enzymes back, and that'll make it so that your body is able to break the foods down without causing excess stress on the system. And one of the reasons you get tired after eating is because your body is saying, look, if we don't get nutrients from this food, we're going to die, right? That's the condition you get if you don't digest your food, you die, because we need nutrients for life. And so because it's so important, the body will do whatever it takes. It'll shut down everything else. That's what some people call it food coma, right? Or they get tired, is because the body's doing everything to digest the food. So if you help the body digest the food by eating more raw foods that have enzymes in them, or adding back enzymes when you do eat cooked food, you're going to be able to put the system in a place that you metabolize better. You take less stress off the system. The probiotics aren't going to have to jump in and do extra work and be utilized for digestion, when really they can be utilized for other things like creating serotonin and dopamine and a lot of the other chemicals in the body. So enzymes are really important. The length of life is inversely proportionate to the rate of exhaustion of enzymes, meaning that when we die, it's usually due to we're no longer can get nutrients from our food. And you see that with elderly, that need to be taking care of them. So we want to make more deposits into that bank account by eating more raw food, or adding back the enzymes when we don't. If we don't add back the enzymes, if we eat too many processed fats and we don't digest them properly, we get number one killer today, heart disease. We eat protein and we don't digest it properly, we get arthritis. You can see where this comes from. And so when we have fresh raw foods, you can see the enzyme reaction to it. This is Curly in photography. These are oranges. You can see that. Here's cabbage that are raw versus cabbage that is cooked. Just to try to point out that we're talking about enzymes that give the life force to the body, digest the food. So you got to make sure that the food you eat, not as processed, right? Try to get whole foods, and as much as you can, eat more raw foods. Okay. And when you don't, add the enzymes back. And that's really the key here. Not so much to promote this specific product as it is to help you to understand, eat more raw food. But if you're getting indigestion, gas, and bloating, that's your body saying, hey, you're not digesting your food, Yahoo. You need to do something about it. And so chew your food better, eat more raw food, or take your enzymes. Okay.
Yeah. And I tell people the worst thing you can do is take that little purple pill. I mean, that's even worse. I mean, that shows you need to start enzymes and more raw food for sure.
Right. And one quick thing on that is when you're not digesting the food, you get indigestion, right? So if everyone just follow along for a second, we digest our food, everything's good. If we don't, it's indigestion. So our body's saying we're not digesting the food. So you have two choices. Your first choice is to finish digestion. That's when you take your enzymes, right? You drink more water, you breathe deeply, you digest your food, and now all of a sudden, everything's good. The indigestion, the pain, the heartburn goes away. The other choice you have is to stop digestion, and the pain will go away. How do you stop digestion? You stop digestion by taking Tums, Rolaids, Zantac, and all those things. They actually stop digestion because they either neutralize or block the acid in the stomach. The acid's job is to activate enzymes. Acid doesn't digest anything. The acid activates enzymes to digest food. So now you've just stopped the ability for your body to activate the enzymes. Now the food doesn't digest at all. It either goes right through, or as it is, it's going to get in and cause some issues because it's partially digested, but you got rid of the heartburn, so you think you're good. No, you want to get rid of the heartburn, the indigestion, and the bloating by digesting your food. So think about digesting the food, not stopping the digestion process. That's why me and Dr. Porter are so big against antacids, acid blockers, and those things, is you're actually stopping the body from getting nutrients it needs. All right. So the problem with chronic stress, we know the gut, the mood. Any other thing on that real quick before we go into these final secrets here, Dr. Porter?
No, I think we covered this. I think it's good. I think they understand that. Yeah, this is, I always show this one because I tell people who'd want this job, we usually, our job is supposed to give us the life we want to live. So when you look at your life, I mean, who'd want to be the president, regardless of what, Republican or Democrat or independent, look at them, they age. This is what stress does to you. So these people, obviously, these presidents look pretty bad, and what we really want to do is we really want to turn on the switch. Most people are in survivor mode, which means they're not digesting, they're not metabolizing, their gut is there and it's working, but they're in this fight or flight. We call it a neurological block, which means neurologically, they're not going to digest their food. So we need to get back to nature. When you think about frequencies in that, when in the old days, when we'd go to bed, we'd sit in front of a fire. This fire actually is resonating at 10 hertz frequency. That means alpha. Alpha is neutral to the brain. If we can be in there, then we're turning on that parasympathetic, the rest, digest, and recovery of the body. So we want to get into that. Nowadays we can flip the channel to 300 or more different stations. We can stay up all night long. That's not the best way to do it. And when our body really gets better in shape is when we give it periods of not eating, right? But we have to give it the nutrients it needs. But if we can get to sleep really a little bit hungry, we're going to have more energy in the morning than you would ever believe. You can burn more fat while you sleep than by exercising, as long as you set it up correctly by eating the right foods at those meals. And that's what we tell people is, let's transform your body into a fat burning machine by eating along the cycles of life instead of just eating. And some people go, I haven't eaten all day, I got to eat, and then they go to bed. It's actually better to go to sleep hungry than it is to eat something.
Well, and I love your teachings, and I've heard you go into this, in depth and spend hours and hours on it. But the reason people go and love looking at the ocean, which I love to do, I'm in Arizona, so we're in the desert, but I love going to the ocean. I love going to the mountains, and it's so that I can get set on the frequency of better thoughts, better moods. We're going to go somewhere tomorrow to help get some goal setting done with me and my wife, and we're going to focus, and we're going to find a place where we get our frequency right, and because we see better. And so I appreciate the doctor that said they liked that quote of your frequency is what you frequently see. We're trying to help you get your frequency right so you can see the benefits of not caving into those cravings. And there is a matter of science with that. The science is to get your probiotics, your microbiome under control. It's being able to set certain habits in place of daily making sure you get your mind right by doing brain tap, daily doing certain things that I'm going to share with you right now, to be able to get those habits in place so that that frequency will come through, that you're able to, like was it your brother that with the Snickers or the candy bars? So it's not a question to him. It's just a lifestyle because he knows his frequency tells him that wouldn't be a good thing. He's not missing out on life. He's enjoying life at a higher level. And a lot of people will say, well, gosh, you eat, these things, you have salad, you do this, you do that. And, that's a terrible life to live. No, it's a great life to live if you're on the right frequency and you see that benefit to you. It all depends on your outlook. And that's what we're trying to help you out with this year versus all the years in the past that you tried to set goals and maybe didn't come through and that you fell off the bandwagon. So help you with that frequency. And so we want you to know, because a lot of you don't know, either one of us or both of us together, that we try to live this lifestyle. We work on it. We work to improve every day. We're not perfect, but this is a member of my family, or a picture of my family. My wife's 3-time Miss Olympia. We follow these principles the best we can, and we sit there and we reset, and we get our frequencies correct. We try to eat more whole foods, and we realize that it creates a better frequency in life, that we're more present in the moment. We're able to be able to enjoy life at a higher level. And the people that we speak with all around the nation, Dr. Porter, Dr. Brimhall, Dr. Harris, they do the same thing. They're living these principles. Dr. Porter's probably 2022. He is my idol. He's the one, Dr. Porter, that has taken a look and said, no more, I'm going to do some things. Everything else is right, but maybe one area. And he focused in on it. And what, you're down how many pounds right now this year, Dr. Porter?
50 pounds. Yeah.
50. And just, transform based on the principles we're sharing with you right now. And so eating less processed foods. And some of the people that we work with, I know Dr. Porter works with a famous country singer. I don't know if you're allowed to say her name, but we work with people that pay us a lot of money to do what we're talking about right now. They pay us to be able to help them with their nutrition, their exercise, their microbiome, their nutrients, the mindset. All my clients have brain tap, every single one of them. And we work with them, but these are people that are working and that are at billionaire status, that are working saying, oh my gosh, we better have some coaches to help us, even though they pretty much know what to do. They want some coaches to help hold them accountable, to be able to do the things that they should be doing, because they know how important it is and how much more productivity they get by following these principles of health, of nutrition, of working about the microbiome, of the mindset, of taking 20 minutes a day and doing the brain tap. They see the benefit of that. They don't look at it as, gosh, I'm taking time away from my day. They're thinking, I'm going to add more time to my day. I'm going to add more productivity by focusing on these things. And so it's super important to understand. And a lot of the top athletes in the world we work with understand this and follow these principles too. So we're wanting to set you up with that, because we're going to share with you right now the program that we recommend going into 2023 that will transform your life. And for the doctors, I know we have a lot of doctors on here. We've set up a special program for you that you'll be able to, not only as most of you do, recommend the brain tap, but also these formulas that we're going to talk about right now with the system, and to do it from your clinic, and to do it so that you can benefit and help focus with the patients yourself. So for the doctors, we'll ask you to call in and they'll help you with that side of it. But we've worked with over 1 million people now that have used what we're going to share with you right now. So over 1 million people, over what are we at? 25, 30 years, Dr. Porter? Yeah. We've had and so we want you to know this is very proven. Although some of this research is new to you, then it might sound like, oh, it was a secret. It's things we've been using for many years with a lot of the public, a lot of the athletes, a lot of the high-level CEOs. And it's just important to understand that, because it doesn't sound sexy, it doesn't go out in a big way to people. They would rather do these special eat raw organs and all this type stuff and follow these crazy plans, so they find out that the people aren't even real. And that's how come that a lot of this just kind of doesn't get looked at. So as I mentioned, goals are set by everyone, but most never achieve them. The ones that do it have systems. So we've learned that it's key to have a system. So we're going to help you with the system right now, and we're going to challenge you. And it's a 21-day challenge. We have a 21-day program. It coincides with the 21-day program for Brain Tap. The 21-day challenge that we have consists of eating certain foods, staying away from certain foods, taking your probiotics, getting your microbiome under control, exercising, and then using the Brain Tap for 21 days on the specific program for Brain Tap. And the reason for that is that the research shows that from a nutrition standpoint, your taste buds live an average of 10 days. Now it's important, 10 days, the taste buds, and then there's another set of taste buds, okay? If we can go through two sets of taste buds, the research shows, then all of a sudden our body from a physical standpoint won't crave those foods anymore. So let's say I'm addicted to sodas and I have sodas. And if I go off sodas for 20 days, that 21st day, that third set, I have a taste buds. Now I'm no longer going to be craving the soda from a physical standpoint. I still can be craving the soda from an emotional standpoint. I always mentioned that my mom drank Pepsi, and I had this connection with Pepsi and my mom. And so to me, there's this emotional standpoint with Pepsi. If I ever was to drink a soda, it would be a Pepsi because of that emotional connection. So that connection is there. but the physical connection is gone. So now we're already one step ahead to be able to help ourselves, to be able to not crave or cave into the cravings. And then when we add to that the friendly bacteria and fixing the microbiome and the brain tap, we're able to overcome so much of the reason that most people fall off the bandwagon. Okay? So taste buds live 10 days. So we're going to give you the 21-day health challenge, and we put it together in a system for you. This is a system we've been using since the early 1990s, and in conjunction now with Brain Tap really changes things. So for 21 days, you don't have carbonated sodas. You stay away from white flour. You limit your processed sugars to 50 grams a day. It's the only thing you need to count. And you just look at your labels and your drinks, and you just make sure it's under 50 grams. You don't even have to count your fruit. And I know there's people who are going to argue with that, but just roll with me that for right now, you don't have to count fresh fruit. Okay. You just count processed sugars and you limit it to 50. Now, most Americans have between 150 to 300 grams a day. So it's going to be a little bit of a change. I had one guy say, well, I have a Gatorade a day, and I looked and that was 50 grams. Like I couldn't have anything else. You're right. Gatorade's out, right? So, water, try it. It's good for you. And you'll see these changes with that. No fried foods. You're going to eat more raw foods, exercise consistently, and supplement with the probiotic we're going to share with you. And then you can even add one other thing too. And the thing that we want you to add is do Brain Tap. Brain Tap has a program, 21-day challenge. We're going to ask you to do it with it. And we're going to come back to that in just a second. So here's what the calendar looks like. You receive on the 21-day challenge, you receive a booklet, and that booklet has this chart, and you check it off each day. You put it up on your refrigerator or keep it with you at work or your car. I don't care. You check it each day. Okay, I'm not going to drink carbonation. I'm not going to have white flour. I'm going to eat more raw foods. And you check it. And your goal is to check all of the boxes every day. And the number 8, you write in there Brain Tap. Okay. And so you follow this and you allow yourself, what we have found of doing this for decades is we tell people, allow yourself 2 boxes. Right. So let's say that there's a wedding coming up. You're going to have some cake. Or you're going to have a little bit of drink or something like that. You allow yourself 2 boxes. There's going to be 2 times within those 21 days that you're going to allow yourself one of these things. I'm going to have a soda one day. I'm going to have a white flour one day, whatever it might be. Okay. But only 2 times, and you follow it, and you get a booklet. It explains why no carbonation, why no fried foods, the importance of these things. And so you can see the research behind it, and you follow the 21-day program. There's your system that needs to be put in place. Okay. But if you remember, 50% of your body's bacteria, we got to reprogram the bacteria so that they crave healthier foods. And that's the key. So along with this is something called Flora Blitz 100. As I mentioned to you, one of our mentors, Dr. Kim Shahani, was the first ever to be able to take probiotics and stabilize them. And for those of you that are me and Dr. Porter's age, you'll remember that it used to be that when you went to buy a probiotic, you'd go to the health food store, you'd open the refrigerator and you'd get it, and you'd have to go put it in your refrigerator because room temperature, they would die. And you're like, well, then they're going to get killed in the acidity of the stomach. They did, right? They didn't really work. But there's a patented process, a cryogenic process that lays them dormant. They can make it through the acidity. And then once they hit warmth and water, right? And Dr. Shani said love and water, right? Warmth and water, then they will flourish and colonize in the gut. And we have isotope studies proving the probiotics in this form get in and they recolonize the gut so that now you have these new friendly bacteria, like babies, if you would, and you start feeding them the healthy foods because you're following the 21-day challenge. Guess what they crave? They crave the healthy food. So you get over that craving. Okay. So you see all the little steps here that are going to lead you to success. So you take the Flora Blitz every day. It comes in little packs. And then you take the digestion if you need to, whenever you cook food. You follow this program along with the Brain Tap 21-day challenge on Brain Tap. Okay. So you listen to that each day. Follow these. You're going to get the mind right. You're going to get the right chemicals flowing. You're going to be able to get in the right state with the brain. You got the probiotics. You're following a system of staying away from certain foods, eating other foods. That's what leads you to success. Okay. So that's the key and the secret to the program. That's super important. Dr. Porter, anything on that you want to mention?
No, I think you covered it well. I think the main thing is for those that have Brain Tap, if you're having an issue with any of those, if you put that in the search engine, we have 54 different programs that help people eliminate those negative blocks that they have to staying on a diet like this. So we have ones that get you off sodas. So if you're having trouble with that, you can, but that's not part of the 21-day challenge that we put together. But if you have to go off the menu because the cravings get you, we have sessions for those. Just do the search engine, the search feature. We have over 2,000 sessions on BrainTap. So we've got you covered if you can't hang with it. And the whole thing is about eliminating the negative so you can focus on the positive.
That's right, your frequency. And there's a lot of questions coming up about soda right now. And I love that because that's truly one of the main things that's hard for people. We're the only country in the world that doesn't consume a food that has probiotics in them on a daily basis. And if you think about that, if we lived in Korea, it would be kimchi. If it was Japan, it would be miso soup. Germany, sauerkraut, the real sauerkraut, right? And so because of that, we want you to eat fermented foods. You wouldn't have to supplement so much. And one of the questions was, the kombucha, is that a carbonated drink? That's the only one that's really interesting because the research shows it's actually alkaline in the system because of the probiotics. Huge fan of kombucha. I don't like the taste, but I'm a huge fan of what it is. And so kombucha is a fermented food. Highly recommend you have kombucha. Any type of fermented foods, try kimchi, all of these things. You want foods. It's just we don't have foods that have probiotics in them very much in America today. And if you think yogurt does, remember the main food of bad bacteria, pathogenic bacteria, is sugar. And most yogurts have the bad sugar. So if you have the real sour, real yogurt, and then just put berries in it, that's a good form of probiotic too. So great question there. And if you'll look at our blog, optimalhealthsystems.com, I did a blog on a study that was done, and other questions came in there about carbonated water by itself. The research shows that the carbonation is the problem. So I don't care if it's Perrier water, any of those things, the carbonation is what we're wanting you off of. The only exception to the rule is kombucha, okay? So real quick, so we're going to try to wrap it up and open up for questions and answers for a few minutes. Thank you all so much for spending your time with us here this day. A lot of questions that come up as we teach the seminar around the nation is, what about exercise? I know I need exercise, but I fall off. I don't know what to do. Is there help? Okay. So then what can we do to help with that? We have a program called Optimal Health Trainer. If you need help, then you need a coach. Now, working in the NBA, what was amazing to me is there's this player by the name of Michael Jordan that when he came to Phoenix and played there, he had his own strength coach, his own shooting coach, his own nutritionist with him. And it's like, wait, Michael, don't you know what to do? And he's, yeah, but I still have people hold me accountable and work with me on it because I want to be the very best. And the only way to do that is to have a coach. And so we have a program called Optimal Health Trainers, not for everyone, but if you want someone to design your exercise program because you're on the road a lot, or you're going to train at home, you don't know what to do, or you go to a gym and you don't know what to do. If you want someone to design your program for you and your nutrition, then Optimal Health Trainer does that. It's our personal certified trainers designing your nutrition program, your exercise program, and giving you an app so that you will mark off, like when you do the exercise, it comes up and you put it and you mark it, and we see it in real time and we can help you. And we guide you through that. It's like having a personal trainer with you the whole time. Our trainers are phenomenal. We oversee it. I had a conversation not too long ago with Dr. Porter about one of our clients. So we really oversee this program and we made it affordable to you. If you're not familiar with personal trainers, people will pay us. This is some of our trainers that we have. People pay a lot for personal training. I have clients that pay almost over $2,000 a month for personal training and the nutrition and that we provide for them. But that, that's really out of reach for most people. So our training program is still the top certified trainers in the world. We do the exercise program. We give you the app. We have you go through it. We modify it with you. We do the nutrition if you want, all of those things. And it costs $300 a month, and you get a discount off of that. So it's a really great program. I recommend everyone do it for at least 3 months, and then you can go on your own. And if you do great, keep on. But if you need to get back on, do that. So I recommend committing for 3 months. And then the BrainTap 21-day jumpstart to your journey. Do the BrainTap. It's a game changer. I just had 2 clients in Puerto Rico that started using the BrainTap even more. And they're like, man, I'm sorry you gave that to us. We did it and we fell off. We started doing it and now we're more productive. We stick to our goals better. We stick to our diet better. So the combination of these things, it's holistic approach, but we try to make it simple. We made it simple so that all you have to do is to do the 21-day challenge from Optimal Health Systems and do the BrainTap 21-day program. And what we did is me and Dr. Porter got together. We're going to make it extremely easy for you, low cost. Dr. Porter's basically been gracious enough to help with the cost of the program. So if you do it, you get 20% off the program. The program's like $110, so it's actually not very expensive. $110 for everything. That's the booklet. That's the Flora Blitz for the whole 21 days to repopulate the entire bowel with over 100 billion CFU of probiotics, the digestion, the pouch, all of that. 20% off that $110 price. So you get that discount on it. It ends up being $88. Thanks, Becky. And you're able to do that program, but you need to use Dr. Porter so that we can charge him for what he's helping save you. No, but basically, just you can call our office, 1-800-890-4547. We put that in the chat, the 1-800 number. Or go to ohs4life.com, take a screenshot of the screen right now and put in your browser ohs4life.com/porter-21OHT. And that program's there for you. Also, the Optimal Health Trainer, you can do that the same way. And what that is Optimal Health Trainer. If you sign up for it, you don't have to pay anything. A trainer will call you and talk to you and see if they are right for you to help design your program, tell you about it, and then you can decide to do it or not. Okay, so all you're doing is signing up for a free consultation from a certified trainer here from our office, here in our location. Okay, it's not some trainer off in who knows where. We meet with our trainers every week. We go through the clients, we see what their needs are, and we help them. The Optimal Health Trainer, and you get the discount off it too. Okay, so Optimal Health Trainer, 21-day Blitz Challenge, 21-day program with Brain Tap, and that's really the key. I want to mention one thing, have Dr. Porter finish up, and then we'll open it up for questions and answers. But what I'd like to share with you is that the research we've done over the decades, we saw what needed to happen. And most people that we put on programs, they still failed. And I'm like, the research shows do this, 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 and this. But there wasn't a system for them to follow easily that helped guarantee the results if they just followed it, right? They just had this information, but there was nowhere to go. So we created the systems. A 21-day challenge is a simple system. You do the check boxes, okay? You go through it. You take your probiotics. You repopulate the bowel so you're craving the healthier foods. You do the brain tap. It's a system that you just follow. Commit for 21 days. You'll have new habits. It'll change your life. You'll have a year in 2023 like Dr. Porter had in 2022, where you reduce all that excess body fat. You get your energy at higher levels, and you'll be able to change the world. The more you crave something, and we're asking you to crave health at a higher level. I know a lot of you are healthy, but you'll crave at a higher level. Your cells will vibrate the frequency into reality, that you'll see that the 21-day challenge, that brain tap, the 21-day program from there is truly the tools that are going to help you achieve your dreams and be able to have you have higher levels of optimal health. Dr. Porter?
Yeah, I just want to say, if there's somebody that doesn't have the brain tap right now, you can do this with the app. I put the link in the section. If you go to braintap.info, you can get free 15 days. And if you pay 99 cents, you'll get it for the complete program. It'll be 45 days. So it's only 99 cents if you need it. If you have a brain tap subscription, you're going to find that 21-day challenge shows up on your screen. As soon as you log in, it's going to be the second bundle, and it's going to tell you what to do each day. So I recommend, like we do with most people, just do the AM in the morning. That's going to get you started with energy in the morning. It's going to get you on the right track. Listen to the one in the middle of the day to reboot your system, and then listen to the one at night so you get that deep sleep, because that's where you're going to detox your brain. And we didn't really go into that a lot, but if you can do that for 21 days, you're going to find that you're basically doing so much positive, putting in so many positive thoughts into your brain that your subconscious is going to work with you instead of against you. And then you're going to get the nutrition is going to take better hold and help you to do what I've done. I mean, this is one of the key things that I did, was get my gut right so that I can, and I've tried everything. I mean, I try to do it without nutrition. I talked to Doug, when we first started, I said, you can do all this with your brain. No, you can't. And I've tried for years, after I sold my weight loss franchise. Of course, I was always thin when I had my franchise, because you're standing in front of people every day. You can't really do it. But the reality is, nowadays we need to get our guts right, because there's just so much bad stuff out there. And I thank you, Doug, for putting this together for Brain Tap Nation and the people we brought in.
Absolutely. And see some questions coming through here. There's a lot of health professionals asking about being able to present this to their patients. Is there other materials for them to be able to have this so they can do the 21-day blitz for their patients and, offer it in their clinics? Absolutely. All you need to do is to call the 1-800 number, 1-800-890-4547. I think they put it in the chat. And our reps will get with you and set you up so that you're able to offer these to your patients from your clinic and a lot of other great things. One of the things Dr. Porter did that we're rolling it out in 3 weeks, I'll give you guys a little teaser to it, is he did his blood work. And then from his blood work, we designed the exact nutrients that his body needs from his blood work. And we're rolling that out for doctors to be able to use here in 3 weeks at our big seminar. We're going to be meeting up here, in 3 weeks, right? Then we're going to I think 200 doctors that we're going to spend 3 days with. Me and Dr. Porter and some of our good friends are going to teach and share. We're going to implement that program that we've been doing with ourselves and with some of our top clients for years. And so that's going to be available for all of you health professionals also, but you can take advantage of helping your patients and your clients with the 21-day challenge straight from you if you'd like. Just get hold of our office and we'll help you with that. The last quote I'll share with you, and then we'll see if there's a few hot questions and let you go. The healthier your presence, the more you can be present. So commit this year to have a healthier presence. Then you'll see that aura, that vibration that comes from you, that you'll be able to truly connect and be more present with those that you love, for those that you're trying to help and share with. Focus on your presence and you'll be able to be more present. I am so excited for the doctors at the seminar coming up in a few weeks to see Dr. Porter, to hear from him, because he already mesmerized them. They're already there. They're on the edge of their seat because of his research and that. Now that he's even gone to the next level with his presence, it's going to be just unstoppable. And I'm so excited about that. And I hope that you commit to the same thing this year. And we really appreciate you guys. Let's go into a couple of questions and then we'll close it up. We appreciate you taking your time. The question from Dr. Martin is it a micronutrient test? You're talking about the blood work that we did. Somewhat, it's a full panel. We do metabolic panel. We'll do the CBC, find out the risk of disease, but we also do a lot of the nutrients. So the ones that are most important. Okay, so it's not an extreme test. We're not measuring for certain levels of different forms of B vitamins. Like we'll do the B12, the magnesium, the vitamin D, the calcium. Those things. We're looking at also hematocrit, blood sludge. We're looking at a lot of different parameters. And from those parameters, we make the custom nutrients for the patient or give you that information and you can design it. And the patient gets an actual pack with their name on it with the nutrients. They have to take 10 different bottles of product. It's called Nutrients RX. And so we'll be launching that again in 3 weeks. But that's what it is. It's a really great program. Like in the case of Dr. Porter, if there was something that came up that showed he has had a higher risk of heart disease or diabetes, would say, hey, yeah, some of this other stuff you're wanting to do is great, but we need to focus on lowering those risk factors, right? And so we give them the nutrients for that. And then later on, we can focus on the nutrients for, anti-aging and those types of things. So thank you for that question. The wanting to purchase a BrainTap headset, Dr. Porter, you comment on that? Someone wanting a BrainTap headset?
Well, right now you can go to braintap.com/Dr. Fab. He's somebody that we said there's a special price there. That's the only one that I know that's active right now. So I'll put it in the window. You can get a special price on it right now. So we weren't ready to actually sell BrainTap here, but we're always selling BrainTap, but I'll put it in the window. So if you want to go to this site, you can get, that's the best price right now. We just did a Christmas special and that site's still up, because Dr. Fab is doing it through the end of, I think, until January 3rd. So that price will be there.
All right, perfect. And then the information, again, all of you, we are going to send an email out. It'll come from Dr. Porter. It'll have the link to this webinar, so you'll be able to see it. It'll also have the links to be able to order the 21-day challenge and also sign up for the free consultation for Optimal Health Trainer. And you'll just be able to click on those links and automatically go, and it'll, the 21-day challenge will be in your cart. Optimal Health Trainer, it'll go to a Calendly, so you can schedule that call with one of our trainers to be able to have that free consultation to see if that's right for you. So those will be going out. Becky, when will those go out? The replay.
We'll upload the video as soon as possible, but then whenever.
Okay, so we'll get that to Dr. Porter. Dr. Porter, will be up to your team to get that out, but we'll get that out to you probably tonight. And so whenever Dr. Porter sends that out, that'll be coming to you. Any other questions?
So this was, somebody was asking, what's it called? It's called Jumpstart Your Journey, and it's in brackets new, because we wanted to make sure everyone knew that is coming into this, that they would know that it's a new program that I assembled all the sessions. So you don't have to search around the 2000 sessions during the 21 days. Just go there. You'll see what day are you on. If you do it in the morning, there's a morning session. You do it in the afternoon, there's an afternoon session. I recommend that if you can do it each of the 3 times for the 21 days, really just to get your brain, to really help with the stress that happens when you're making these changes.
All right, thank you. And last 2 questions. Would the program help for people that work on limbic system impairment and leaky gut systems? Yeah, absolutely. Actually, leaky gut, this is how you repair leaky gut. This program is the program that we use with thousands of doctors around the nation for decades to repair and to heal leaky gut, to help close, to lower the zonulin levels and to be able to help close those junctures so that larger molecules don't get through. That's the key. The zonulin's the key. And there's a very specific bacteria that helps lower the zonulin levels that we put in here. It's a patented form called DDS1 acidophilus. It's in this pack that helps with the zonulin, and then the foods is a major factor. So absolutely, you have people with leaky gut, put them on the 21-day challenge. Absolutely. The Jumpstart, where it's
right on the first screen. When you log in, it'll come up. It's under bundles. It'll say Intro to Brain Tap, the biohacking bundle, then the Jumpstart bundle should be right underneath it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then for the doctors that are asking about the blood work and stuff, as soon as that information is available, we'll send to you so you can see the full panel and everything that's from that. I'm a big fan of understanding on heavy metals and those, but we go more of the basics with it because we're looking at the big picture with it. And then we let the doctors, the health professionals actually detail it even more from there. But we're helping with the big picture with it to know which is the basic nutrients that people need. So what people do usually, if you want to know the full program like that I follow, Dr. Porter and the rest of us, what we do is we'll take the Flora Blitz pack if we're not consuming fermented foods, which, is most of the time, since I want to like kombucha, I just don't. So I'll take the Flora Blitz pack, but then I'll take my customized pack based off my blood work. And that's my supplements for the day. And then also I'll take things for working out and stuff like that to help build muscle at my old age. But that's the program that we follow on the daily. And so that's something that you might be interested in or your patients. So again, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys. The fact that you're spending this time with us on the last few days of this year means the world to us. Me and Dr. Porter, we don't take this lightly. It means the world, and we appreciate you. And just remember, as you do these programs, get on them, get going, but always keep chewing. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you all. Look forward to your health. Look forward to hear about your good health. Thank you.